see them start cleaning some of that stuff up?
I wasn't overly concerned with the turnovers because, Cole Anthony turned it over 4 times. I honestly thought that number might be a little bit higher, being that he was a freshman and playing, like you said, you got to give credit to Notre Dame. This is what Notre Dame thrives off of, taking the ball away and taking care of the ball on the other end. I think that in this game, you look at UNC-Wilmington, they have turnover issues themselves. So I think that, if you do turn it over a few too many times, you might still be okay. But you're right. This is the type of game where you want to work on that. You want to cut down on those turnovers and really try to have one of those clean games because, that sort of gets some confidence beneath the guys, and it's something that they can look back on, just through watching film and say, okay, look at what we did here. Why were we able to move the ball so well in this game when we weren't able to move the ball so well in the Notre Dame game without turning it over? Look, turnovers are going to be part of it, I think, especially with a really young team like Carolina's got this year, and especially with all the injuries that they have early in the season. But I think that this team, they've got a chance. I'm looking, if they can get somewhere in between that 10 to 12 turnover number here in this game, I think that would be satisfactory for Roy Williams. I think he just knows right now, we've got so much youth that we're going to have games where we're going to turn the ball over, and that's okay.
Yeah, last before we shut this podcast down, it's a requirement on this podcast where we talk about rebounding. Carolina was exceptional the other night. We
have a segment that we are working on our liner for the segment, the rebounding segment of the week.
Okay, we're going to move on after that. They were exceptional the other night against Notre Dame. Out rebounded the Irish 51-31. And
we didn't see that coming.
Nobody saw that coming.
No.
Look, Carolina's got a smaller, inferior opponent tonight. How much is Carolina going to control the board tonight? This could be a plus 30 kind of rebounding night. It feels like.
That's a big number. I'm not a betting man. It could be up in that range. Did they rebound the ball well against Johnson and Wales?
They out-rebounded them 45-40. So if you were listening, if you were listening earlier when I was talking,
that's not
I mentioned that they struggled rebounding the ball against Johnson and Wales.
Okay,
which is why you figured.
Did you give that exact statistic?
Yes, it's right. It's right here.
Well then I just don't listen.
Yeah.
Good job calling me out.
And that's why it feels like Carolina's going to be able to not only control the boards but dominate them.
Yeah. If you can't, I'm going to be real honest with you. If you can't rebound against a group of chefs, you're in some trouble. It's going to be a tough night for UNC-Wilmington. Look at the, in all seriousness, you look at just how effective Cole Anthony was rebounding the ball against Notre Dame. You would think against a team that's not going to be able to rebound as well, he could have a big night. Garrison Brooks looks like, he's back to where he was last year and might start to slowly improve as the season goes along. Armando Bacot, we knew, 7 foot, he's going to have to be able to rebound somewhat. He looked good the other night. And then you had the pleasant surprises of Leaky Black as well as Justin Pierce. I think that, Carolina should have no trouble dominating the glass in this game. And look, we've seen that in years past. These early season games are always the toughest to preview because we don't want to be overly confident. We don't want to come in and say, okay, we should win by 40 points. We should out-rebound them by 30, 35. But it's kind of tough because, you're looking at a team in UNC-Wilmington that, this is not a team that Carolina should struggle with. This should be a team that Carolina should be able to put away pretty easily.
And with that, we'll go ahead and get to our game predictions. I'll go first. I think Carolina wins. I think Carolina wins a lot easily than they had to win the other night. Mainly because they're gonna dominate the glass. I think they'll be a little more efficient at the foul line. I don't think Wilmington will turn us over as much as Notre Dame did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina wins something in the 90 to 70 kind of range, and to get their first win on the road. And it's just kind of big for this team as young as it is, kind of get that experience, that joy of stealing brownies, as Roy Williams calls road wins for his team. And I think the guy that, when we get on to recap the podcast, it's going to feel like the football podcast where we talk a lot about Sam Howell. I think Cole Anthony leads this team.
Okay, so he's going to be off limits probably within the first couple of weeks,
yeah.
Right? Sam Howell is not allowed to be picked on the podcast. That him and Chaz Surratt can't be picked. So I think Cole Anthony's going to get to that point where it's like, okay, who besides Cole Anthony is going to have a good game in, against such and such? Because, I mean, at this point, like, that's going to be our guy each week.
So I think Cole Anthony's going to be the headline, but I think Armando Bacot gives us a glimpse of the kind of player he can and will be for us.
Okay. I will go with, I think Carolina probably somewhere in that same range. I'm going to say just a little bit lower. I'll say mid to high 80s for Carolina. I think Wilmington be down somewhere in the mid to high 50s. I think Carolina has a really good defensive performance against this team and really is able to kind of flex the muscle a little bit. I think the guy that'll be getting talked about a lot, we talked about him a lot on the Notre Dame recap podcast. Haven't mentioned him here. I think Andrew Platek's going to have a really good game. I think, he's realizing that his role has to be expanded this year. Look at what B-Rob did last year. Now he's on the shelf. Somebody needs to fill that type of role. I think he did that in the first game, played 26 minutes, scored 8 points, and really looks like a guy that is comfortable with where he's at right now and comfortable with the fact that he's going to have to take on a bigger role this year. I think he comes out against Wilmington, maybe even increases on that scoring from the other night. And I think, he's a guy that we'll have to once again mention on the podcast and talk a little bit about whenever we recap the game against Wilmington, which will probably be over the weekend, right? There we go.
Okay. There you go, guys. There's our look at the game against Wilmington, which tips off tonight, 7 p.m. TV is going to be hard to find the game on.
Good luck.
So I would encourage you guys, listen to the game on the Tar Heel Sports Network. Jones Angel, Eric Montross will be on the call. Adam Lucas, Dave Nathan will be there.
He's our friend because he says that. So we can claim that Jones Angel is our friend.
Right?
Yeah. We will use that card rather often, Jones, unfortunately.
Him and I are boys. He just doesn't, he may not know
it,
but him and I are boys.
Yeah.
So if you can't watch the game, make sure you're listening or following along on the ESPN app. Do want to encourage all you guys to check out all the basketball coverage we got on HeelToughBlog.com.
There you go. If you can't watch the game, you can always read the recap to see what went on. We'll have you covered.
Yeah, the preview's up. The some stuff from the Notre Dame game is out there, and a lot of football stuff on the site as well. So make sure you check us out on HeelToughBlog.com. I want to encourage you guys to subscribe to this podcast or various podcasting platforms. We're on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Tune in. Basically. Wherever you want to find a podcast, we're there. Give us a like, give us a review, and we'll appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys for listening to this podcast. Go Tar Heels.